Let's go, man. We just finished up the boxing session at home. Man, this week was crazy. Started working 12-hour shift doing groundworks, and I always hoped for something just easier, something that was easy. Just before this job that I had, I wished for an easier job. I wished for something to just go smooth with no problems and no struggle. And speaking those words, I got the exact opposite. I went into work that it's longer hours and there's just more time being outside. It was less on my phone as well for the entire week, and it's just been crazy. It's been crazy. I haven't really trained properly for about, I don't even know, like a month, 2 months probably since my fight. Since my fight, I haven't really put enough work with training. I haven't put enough work with my routines until this week, until there was more struggle, until I had longer hours in the day to work, until there was more pressure. I wasn't putting enough work on myself, and I was always lacking. I felt like I was just going down. I was gaining weight. I was getting more sick, and I don't feel like myself. I didn't feel like I had that energy. I didn't feel like I had that confidence that I used to have like before the fight. And as soon as like my work changed and it got harder and there was like more pressure just with my environment, it definitely feels like things are picking back up and we're stronger than before, even after the fall, even after the whole season of just being comfortable, the whole season of having weekends where I literally just ate food and I regretted it. And I started like to journal all the thoughts and to journal what I want to do, and I want to create impact. I want to serve others. I want to help others transform. I want others to realize that there's always a way out and there's a light at the end of the dark tunnel. And struggle has taught me a lot. In the struggle, we see it as something that isn't joyful. We see it as something that we want to get out of. We seek the comfort. We seek our pleasures, we seek our vices because they feel like our safe zone. But in the struggle, your safe zone is the Lord, is Jesus Christ. That is your safe zone. God is our refuge, even in times of trouble, even in times of adversity. And in that struggle, we're refined, we learn a lot. There's a lot of experience, there's a lot of pressure that forces us to find solutions, that forces us to grow. And in that struggle is where we become stronger men of God. In that struggle is where we find hope. In that struggle, if everything was comfortable, if everything just went how you wanted it to go, we'd probably end up in destruction, in absolute destruction. And we seek comfort in times of struggle because we feel like we want to go back to our old self. We want to go back to our old identity. But in order to be refined, in order to have that renewed mind, we have to go through that fire. Just as gold has to go through fire to be purified. It's the exact same for us. It's crazy how like the materialistic world is just a metaphor for the spiritual realm. It's literally a metaphor for our spiritual life. And it's amazing. You could really relate it to nature. You can relate it to gold. You can relate it to diamonds. It requires pressure to make diamonds. I think that's the analogy. Well, I think. But it requires pressure to grow. It requires struggle to actually go forward. And I never wanted to admit this. I never wanted to go through it because it always seemed like the dark zone where you have to enter. Especially before my fight, when I had the 8 weeks of just training, it was completely just like a dark zone because I was going above my limits. I was facing things that I feared. I was doing more sparring sessions. Like I wasn't the type of guy to always step into the ring and actually just be comfortable in the ring and fight. But I had to face those fears. I had to face my own self. I had to fight against myself within that period. And I realized the more that you fight against yourself, the more that you enter the pressure, the more that you grow, the more joyful you become after it as well. Because there's that earned reward. There's that earned reward of rest. There's the earned reward of transformation. There's the earned reward of growth, of fulfillment. Every time after struggle, you feel joy. You feel deliverance. You feel like you are delivered. And it gives you more hope. It gives you momentum to keep going. We all have that burning desire, that burning fire in our heart to become strong men, to better our physiques, to better our mindset, to eat healthier, to lead others, to serve. We all have that God-given desire within us. Every man has that God-given desire to lead, to serve, to build, to create. We are made in the image of God to do that. But our fallen nature desires the comforts, desires the vices, desires the pleasures. And in that moment, we're just blinded when we want the desires, we want the vices, we want the pleasures. Because we see it as a comfort zone, we see it as a safe zone. That's where we see that life is, that's where we see the fulfillment is. But when we step into it and we consume ourselves into the pleasures, into the desires, the vices, the cravings that we have, we find ourselves in regret, in complete regret after. But when we go through the struggle, when we go through the pressure, when it's difficult, we find ourselves joyful after it. We find ourselves fulfilled. We find ourselves delivered from it. How beautiful is that? That struggle actually makes you happier. It makes you more joyful. It makes you fulfilled. It makes you stronger. But comfort, pleasures, vices, desires, cravings, temptations, when we consume that, it feels pleasurable in the moment. It feels like we're fulfilled in the moment. But after, it just bites like a serpent. It bites like a serpent. Pleasure, comfort, desires, vices, all those negative things that we give ourselves into, they're quite charming because they look sparkling in our perceptions. They look very sparkling. They look like something that's going to give us that joy, that fulfillment. But truly, it bites like a serpent. It bites like a serpent. Struggle truly will develop us, and it will allow us to be stronger men. No matter what circumstances you're facing, no matter who you are, no matter what your physique looks like, no matter what your mindset is, every single man, every single person that is watching this video right now, you have the potential to fulfill your strength, to fulfill who you're meant to become, the stronger man of God. Who do you think you are in God's eyes? Who do you think you are in God's eyes? Think about that and align yourself with that person every single day. Wake up early in the morning. Move, push yourself, pray, read the Bible, journal. Do those things that actually build you, as a stronger man of God, that actually build your mindset, that actually build your body. It's not for our own glory, but it's to build the strength to keep going, to lead others and to serve, because that is what we're here to do. We're here to serve. We're here to be a community with each other. We're here to love. We're here to live like Christ. And it's difficult because that battle that we face, those struggles that we face, we think that those are the things that are going to destroy us. But truly, those are the things that are going to grow us closer to the Lord. Those are the things that grow our relationship with God. It's powerful. It's amazing, because if we consume ourselves too much in the desires and the comforts, in the vices and the pleasures, and we always seek that safe zone, we turn ourselves away from God. We turn ourselves to shame, to regret, and then we feel like we're distant from God. But every time we turn towards the pressure, the struggle, to actually suffer against ourselves, to fight against ourselves, to lead, to serve, to build, to do all the good things that God has given you within your heart, we feel much more closer to God. And there's less noise, there's more clarity. But we blind ourselves from the comforts. We blind ourselves in the comfortable zones when there's no pressure, when the environment doesn't force us to take action. We blind ourselves with comforts. We blind ourselves with temptations, with pleasures that we give into. The last work that I did for about 6 weeks. Like, I was leaving home early because I got let out. There was not a lot of physical work to do. I was on my phone all the time. And a lot of people would say, oh, that's sick. I love that. I love to do a job where you do nothing, where you literally do nothing, where you're on your phone all day scrolling, you're making money. But I felt like a complete fraud. I felt like a fraud. I was coming back home. I wasn't training hard. I was giving into more comforts. I was giving into more pleasures. I wasn't working on myself. There was no struggle. There was no pressure. And I just looked at my physique degrading. I looked at my nutrition degrading. And I looked at my mindset degrading. I was waking up later. I was going back to the old man that I used to be. I was going back to those habits. And I wasn't aligning with the man that I wanted to become. I wasn't bettering my physique. I wasn't bettering my nutrition. I wasn't bettering my athleticism. I wasn't bettering my mindset, my habits, all the good things that give you joy, that give you that fulfillment day to day, all the things that make you a stronger man of God to lead, to serve. I was just being completely destroyed and blinded by the pleasures, blinded by the comforts, even at work. We hope for just an easy life. We hope for easy. We hope for no struggle. We hope for nothing that builds us, nothing that gives us pressure. And in this fallen world, only really pressure and struggle are gonna refine us and are gonna make us more present. They're gonna give us more gratitude for each day, because if we don't go through them, then we'll consume ourselves into the comforts, we'll consume ourselves into the pleasures, and we'll stay the same person that we are. Anyone can fall by their comforts, by the desires. It doesn't matter who you are. And I speak on this video because it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what position you were in. It doesn't matter what position you are in. It doesn't matter about your past. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what you feel like. You can always bring yourself to a better position. You can always build yourself. You can always create structure, create a plan and attack. And trust the Lord through this entire journey, because He will build you. He will give you that strength to go and to fight against yourself, to fight those battles. He will give you those spiritual weapons to go into battle and take victory, because we already have victory through Jesus Christ. That's where we already have victory. And in that struggle where we think it's going to destroy us, where we think it's mundane, it's depressing, be joyful, because in that struggle is where you are built. In that struggle is where you are refined, where you are forged into a stronger man of God. In that struggle. It goes the same with training. It goes the same with nutrition. It's difficult to stay on track with your diet. It's difficult to not give in to those cravings of junk food, to give in to those cravings of processed junk and like binging and all that stuff, because those things give us pleasure in the moment, they give us comfort. But our goal is to better our physiques, is to better our mindsets, is to create a stronger body, to feel more lean, confident, energetic, athletic, to feel stronger, to represent discipline. But then we look at those comforts and we consume ourselves into them, and then we feel regret. It's a battle against ourselves. The food doesn't just randomly go into you. You take it by your own thought, because your thought gives you a false emotion that feels like fulfillment. And then we give in, and then we just completely destroy ourselves. But if we just look at that as just a battle, and we don't give in to those cravings, we don't give in to that processed foods, we don't give in to binging, we build ourselves, we build a stronger physique, we have more energy, we have better clarity, and that allows us to lead, that allows us to be strong, that allows us to feel like we're disciplined, to feel confident. It's that battle. It's a false perception of fulfillment versus struggle that is going to build you, struggle that is going to forge you into a stronger man of God that you desire to be. In all struggle, be joyful. And I know it's difficult, because again, our emotions can be very deceitful. Some emotions are a deception. But truly look at your situation and call upon the Lord for strength, for His guidance, even in the struggle. Because in that struggle is where we seek the Lord, is where we grow closer to the Lord, because there is nothing else to rely on. But when we start relying on comforts, when we start relying on pleasures, when we start relying on trying to make our way back to our safety zone that completely destroys us. We don't grow through that struggle. We don't use it to our potential. Every time you're in struggle, even if your work is hard, even if there's more pressure in your environment, or even if you're trying to get yourself into shape and you're facing all these cravings and you need to train today and you don't feel like it, you want to be comfortable, you want to skip, you want to give into your comforts. Think about it. Struggle will make you unstoppable. It will make you stronger. It will forge you. That fire will forge you to be stronger. It will purify you. That struggle is to be used to your advantage, to grow stronger, to call upon the Lord, to reflect, to plan, to attack again. It's beautiful. The struggle is beautiful. The fight against ourselves is beautiful, because that is what truly builds us. That is what truly forges us. That is what makes us present. That is what makes us completely present. Think about the times where if you scroll on your phone or you give into the junk food or you give into your comforts, before giving in, you feel like it's going to fulfill you. You feel like there's joy in there. But as soon as you give in, you lose your energy, you lose your clarity, you lose that drive, you lose the momentum. And then you're just left to complete dreadfulness. And you're trying to find your way back to having motivation, to having momentum, to having that drive to be disciplined again. And the more that you give into those comforts, the more that you give into those cravings, the more that you give into the things that destroy you, the less clarity you have of who you're meant to become, the less clarity you have of the body you want to build, the things you want to pursue, the people you want to lead, people you want to serve. You lose the clarity of that and you start to rely on yourself. Following on from yesterday's talk, I had to cut it short because I had to go somewhere, but we don't go through that struggle. When we lose that clarity, we start to rely on ourselves. And when you begin to rely on yourself, you find no strength. And telling we find no strength, and we can mask it with action. We can mask it with doing a lot of things in our life, whether that's comfort or numbing that pain within us. Because God is the true foundation. And with faith and struggle, we begin to change. We begin to become forged. We begin to become transformed. And how powerful is that? Even in that struggle, you can find joy, because joy is present within that struggle. Joy is present when everything feels like it's not going the right way, when things are getting more difficult. That is where you are truly forged. That is where you truly change. That is where you truly transform. It is the breakthrough moment. Before every breakthrough moment, there's whispers of doubt, there's whispers of discouragement, whispers of giving up, whispers of comfort. But don't listen to these whispers. Listen to the promises of God, knowing that you will be transformed through that struggle. And whether that is you want to get changed with, and whether that's with changing yourself physically, changing yourself mentally, bettering your habits, there's going to be that struggle. There's going to be that refinement. There's going to be that test. And that's why the struggle makes you unstoppable. When you truly understand that struggle will build you, struggle will transform you, you will become unstoppable. Because now you won't look at struggle as a burden. You won't look at struggle as something that is negative, as something that you don't want to do. You will look at struggle as something that you will be transformed through. And you will feel those emotions within the struggle, with whatever is happening. But those emotions are temporary. Emotions wither away. But change actually happens. Change is objective and it's permanent. Change within yourself, change physically, creates the impact for other people around you. It shines a light. Through that struggle, we go through that darkness, you will come out to the light and you will shine as a light for other people around you in your life. With God as the foundation, with actually going through these things and knowing that you will be built through them, even if you don't understand the way, even if you don't understand when the deliverance is going to happen, when the change is going to happen, even if you don't understand, just understand that what you are going through It's all for the purpose of good. It's all for the purpose of transformation. It's all for the purpose of being strengthened. That is the purpose of that struggle, that difficulty that you go through. No man can achieve greatness without a requirement to go through greatness, to go through great struggle, to go through great doubt, great discouragement. No man can achieve for greatness without going through that. How can you achieve an enormous victory without the enormous battle? There must be a battle to achieve victory. There must be an opposition to win. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense, and there would be no meaning in victory, because victory wouldn't even exist. It would completely not make sense. Victory is taken after conquering the battle, after winning the battle. And that battle is against yourself. That battle is against your desires. That battle is against those comforts that are always whispering in your ear, promising you that fulfillment, promising you that joy. But when you turn away from them and you struggle and you keep your trust to the Lord, and you know that you have all things that you need, you have good health, you're alive, you see other people around you, and you have opportunities, you demolish that enemy who whispers in your ear to give up, to go back to your old self, the old identity. This is all a fight against yourself. This is all a fight against yourself. 4 or 5 years ago, I was a fat kid. I wouldn't even be running, or I wouldn't be doing anything. I'll literally hold myself onto the handles just to do a 10-minute run, and I'd run at like 6 kilometers per hour. And now I'm running fast on the treadmill. I had my first fight. I got into pretty good shape. My nutrition's way better. My energy's way better. And I had to go through that struggle. I had to go through those doubts. I had to face many times where I wanted to give up, where I questioned whether this is worth it, or who am I doing it for. But as soon as I came to the understanding that every single season of struggle built me, every season of struggle transformed me, I now understand that whatever comes my way, I have trust in the Lord, because I know that there's a transformation at the end of that struggle. I know that there is deliverance with trust, with faith, with action. Conquer yourself through all these things. Conquer yourself. That is the biggest thing you can do, is conquer yourself through all this. Conquer those thoughts, conquer those vices, conquer those comforts with the strength that God gives you. Go through it. Transform yourself. Become the stronger man of God. Change yourself physically. Change yourself athletically. Become like a complete beast. You're only being given this one life. Do you want to stay the same forever? Do you want to hide yourself away from the struggle, from the battles, and you want to stay in the safe zone, which is not even the safe zone? The safe zone that we think is actually just a trap of the enemy to keep you there and destroy you slowly. Comfort does not destroy us at once, because it's blinding. It blinds us with emotions, and then it destroys us day by day, week by week, month by month. And then you think to yourself, why am I out of shape? Why do I feel like I have less confidence, less energy? I feel depressed and I don't know what my purpose is. Because you have not strived for any struggle. You haven't strived for any adversity, which you would have been built through, which you would have been transformed through. But it doesn't matter what position you are in now. It doesn't matter what happened. What matters is what you've been given, which is this day that the Lord has given, that the Lord has blessed. So no matter what you're facing, be joyful in the struggle, knowing that you will be transformed, knowing that your life will change, knowing that you will change, knowing that others will change through this. Pursue the things that you want, that will lead others, that will serve others, and that will create an impact in your life. The foundation is God, and to transform yourself physically, transform yourself mentally, transform yourself with your habits. And we're going to keep going, man. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. Tomorrow we're going to go back to the construction site and go through that struggle again. And I'm reaching for better things, to work a better job, to build this business that I desire, full of fighters who transform themselves, fighters in life that are transformed physically, mentally, strong men to lead their families, to lead others, strong young men to show confidence and to bring that light to others who need it, to be strong for others, to serve others. And we need to do that through transformation. If we do not transform ourselves, how can others be changed? How can there be change for others? How can there be service? if we are not strong enough to do it. Know that the Lord has given you another day to rise to your potential, and know that there is deliverance on the other side of this struggle, on the other side of this adversity is a stronger man of God who's strong physically, mentally, as an absolute beast. Get after it, man. Get after it. If you've made it to the end of this video, I thank you so much, because I have the vision to build a large community and empire of men through transformation, through being fighters, through being strong, through having a brotherhood. And we're going to get after it, man. One absolute blessing. Today's Sunday, the Lord's Day. We're going to go to church, attend the Divine Liturgy, and praise be to the Lord for this day. Praise be to the Lord for this day. Let's get after it, man. Drop a subscribe. Stay tuned on this channel. I'm documenting my entire journey with my physique, with mindset, and with pursuing this business and creating this empire of men who are willing to transform, men who are willing to change their lives for the better, and to create a strong brotherhood full of fighters. Let's get after it, to fight against yourself. Stay blessed.